So welcome back to day 3 of our spring gathering. Again, just my contact information. We always at the We're Learning Network are looking for your needs, and if you any professional learning that you would like to see come your way, we'd be more than interested in talking to you about it. So you can contact us at any time. And looking down our lineup for the week, we're on day 3, and really looking forward to visiting with Jenny Thompson, teacher, and many of her students that are in the room with us today. We welcome them, and looking forward to having them along as well. I'd like to begin today with a few introductions. The first person I'd like to introduce is Clifford Cardinal. Clifford Cardinal is a Plains Cree person from Saddle Lake Nation, Cree Nation, located in northeastern Alberta. Clifford holds a Bachelor of Education degree, and since 2004 has taught the Cree language and culture courses at St. Paul Regional High School. Also served as an Indigenous liaison at the jurisdictional level for St. Paul Education Regional Division. Clifford is always proud to share the knowledge and teachings that he's been blessed with by the elders of his community. And as our elder, Clifford has always been an enthusiastic supporter and partner in the planning of our annual spring gathering since its inception in 2015. And I'm so pleased that he is attending the session with us today, and that I've got this opportunity to introduce and thank him for being such a great collaborator, mentor, and friend. Clifford has kindly agreed to deliver our land acknowledgement today.
Young people, it's such a beautiful opportunity to engage in a conversation that needs to be that needs to happen at all levels. I acknowledge all of you. Before we acknowledge the land acknowledgement, I just wanted to share that this journey that we have been on together in regards to those accolades that Mr. Nash has so carefully put together to acknowledge and recognize me. I just wanted to acknowledge and thank him for that. And also we cannot go any further without sharing some words of gratitude to, I believe her name is Mrs. Thompson, out of the Irma area, that we have engaged together on numerous occasions in celebrating and acknowledging and understanding and what little is known about our way of life as Indigenous people throughout the Treaty 6 territory. I just wanted to at this time acknowledge the ancestral territory of my people, the traditional territory of the Cree, the Dene, the Blackfoot, the Soto, the Nakota Sioux, and as well as we cannot forget our Métis brothers and sisters. We acknowledge that all the many footsteps that have been presented to Mother Earth mark these lands for generations to come. Thank you for listening. When we talk about moving forward with this journey that we began almost 6 years ago with Dan, all of these gatherings and all of these conversations and dialogue in regards to the Indigenous way of life, the learning, we always acknowledge the spirit world that's first and foremost in our way of life. And I just wanted to share an acknowledgement of the spirit world the Creator, as we call him. We don't have a Father, our Father, like religion does. There's no name for our Creator. But I just wanted to acknowledge the mystery that He presents to our way of life, and more importantly, to all of the learning that is going to take place here, the information and the conversation are surrounding this journey that Jenny had so willingly put together for us today. So with that, I'll ask you all to please, in your own way, come to some sort of meditation in giving thanks for the sunrise today, giving thanks for this coming together the way it has, because Jenny has put this together with the guidance of the spirit world, as we journeyed together for a few years now with the Irma School. I just wanted to give thanks and thank you again. Unfortunately, our way of giving thanks is using the language that was given to our people. So I'll share that at this time. Awil tawi mau. Hagota semi na pego. Tegab mo to e katamuat tamagaw ya kumanut skagiska. Igo kemyo na go tamuat yagwawa. Unigi go mau tegab mo esta tego negi goya. Kai go goya asu na muatan ge kakyo. Utak kap nanto tamagit. Magi gagi amgi goy gawane kamuat tamanu muta. Kaya ya ko ataman tatugis ka matsu nagi tek. Igo kay mamatawa. Tekap masu na muatama chikoskay. Skay tamaw. Angigigoya. Kagis kinutamagoya ke. Stame magana. Nstamange kagep motata ke kumuta aski kan. Moane wan gisk sotota chik na mo. Do tamagi stamuato kakyo. Kapmiaya kumuta. Auksisin do tamaga. E gano taon gabmay to estamuao. No akumagan. Kap askes na muato kikaisino wakano. Kispenno tao. Kisita mo. Minigan gawane kamo. Wane kiane. Egota kapmgois kastamawi. Auksisin do tamagi stamuat tamagi ananots. Neves kamgag tegab mau tapitay namosom teknokom. Kistao. Yagotahan ba. Kapmago na hiyakik sewat suno. Kampapawat na mua chiku kakakyo. Ukiskino hamagyo. Angigigoya. Tapatay mo. Kuya taguso. Tiyam. Kapmasagas kanes kagots. Auksisin do tamaan minauxis na nas kumuhan.
Thank you, Clifford. And for the last introduction, I'm going to call on Miss Mabin Grindy to introduce Jenny Thompson.
Thanks very much, Dan. I haven't been referred to as Miss for a long time. I'll take that. I just want to, before we start today, I just want to acknowledge Jenny Thompson, because in this presentation and the video that she's going to share, that name doesn't appear. Even on the credits, I noticed Jenny Thompson's name doesn't appear. And I think as educators, it's so important to acknowledge the fact that Jenny is a classroom teacher, and her admin team and our senior leadership team at the school district at the time, they really prioritized this learning, and they said, nope, this is a priority and we're going to make space for this. And even though that push was coming from the top, it takes classroom teachers to say, I'm going to hold the space for this learning to happen. And so, Jenny, I want to acknowledge you and the time that you made for your students to have the learning journey that you're going to share with us today. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mabon. That's very kind of you. And I can even kind of start just by acknowledging that there's a couple of my students that were able to attend with us today. We've got a couple students that are currently in grade 9. So we've got Faith. Faith, you want to give a wave there? Yeah. And we've got Julie. And we've got Kinsley. And Grayson and Karis. I think that's all for my grade 9 class. And then I've got 2 gentlemen that are here from our current grade 8 class. So that's Riley and Evan. Then we also have Mr. Grosky, who is our principal here at Irma School. And of course, he has been so supportive for everything that we've done. He comes with us whenever we go on our journeys, and he has been just our biggest supporter, and we're so grateful that he was able to make that as well. Alrighty, so I'm going to jump right into it here, and we've done this portion, which is excellent. So welcome to the session with myself and my students here at the Irma School. We have been blessed with the opportunity to participate in so many different cultural experiences through Mabon, who's on the chat here with us, and with Clifford, and we give a lot of thanks to their guidance and their kindness, and to the people that have been involved in bringing this journey to myself and to my kids here at the Irma School. So the way that we got started was I was new to Irma School, and I am the band teacher, as well as teaching junior high social studies and humanities. And I found in the cupboard a great big box of drum kits. And I knew that there might be, I kind of reached out to Mabon and had said, can we make these, or what's protocol? How can we go about this? And Mabon kind of said she would look into it and see what the protocol was, and came back and said that, maybe not the drums themselves for sacred reasons, for different reasons, but that we could make some rattle. And so that is where we got to meet Clifford for the very first time. Was he came to our Irma School, and we had a grade 7 and 8 class, and you can see in the photographs here, and he shared stories with us, and he told us about the rattles and the importance of it. We had a meal together with Clifford and just learned how these rattles are important to Indigenous culture. And it was just a really excellent experience. And the kids that are on here, I think they can attest to it. My current grade 9, so all of the girls that are on here right now, they would have been in this class. And you can see in that first picture in the top left corner, they were just huddled around Clifford. They couldn't get enough of him. They wanted to hear his stories. They wanted to talk with him. I believe, Clifford, you had brought some beaver jerky at the time. And I think you shared some with Slade, the one boy that's sitting to your left there. He got to try some, and they just thought it was the greatest thing ever. So literally within one afternoon of making these rattles, Clifford had won their hearts over, and they just needed more Clifford time. So that was kind of how we started this off. I found a box of drums. We couldn't make the drums, so we made some rattles. And this wasn't a cheap project. I took it to Darren Grosky, and he's like, let's do this. Let's make these rattles. And they were something that should be kept, made by the person and kept dear to the person. And so these students all got to make their own and keep their rattles. And that was supported by my administration, which we were so grateful for. But this kind of kicked it off. Following that, a conversation was asked about by one of the students, was asked about the four in the Fort Hall, the tile mosaic. What is that all about? And Mabon was there with us. And so that kind of is the key to this journey that we've been on. I found a box of drums, we made some rattles, and that just got the kids asking and thinking and questioning. And I think that what has made our journey a little more unique is that it is one that has been led by the students. It is one that if a question was asked, And if we could follow it up, that's what we've done. And that's how we started leading this journey that we were on. And so, again, thanks to Mabon and her knowledge, she shared with us that this mosaic is for Alex Janvier, the artist. And we went and toured the RAM, the Royal Alberta Museum, and shared lots of different stories and learned lots of different things from this trip. Again, I'm a band teacher, so I have the ability to take them on a trip for band, but I can also add in social studies stuff. And so anytime that I do a trip, I try to use as many, curricular outcomes or courses as I can into one trip. And so this was I think it was a 3-day trip, to be honest with you, that included band and then touring and learning about Alex Janvier. Of course, then we brought it home, and, there's lots of learning if you've got the budget to go out and tour and travel to places, but bringing it back and talking about it then within our school. And so when we came back to the school, Mabon had this art project here. So I'll just I think I've got a couple videos for you to watch this. Hopefully the sound works. Okay.
Sebastian, yours looks cool. Look at Sebastian's colors.
Okay, fingers on the top, hold her tight.
Whoa,
look at the marbling you got. That's amazing.
But look, it's like a sunset and a sun even. Oh my gosh. That's cool.
I love it.
Hey, so that was, taken as inspiration. That's shaving cream, and the students were asked to put colors on there and make a design that they could represent themselves, where they lived, the land that they lived on, their thoughts about Irma, about the school. And so then what we have here is we've got Julie, who's with us today. This is her comments. They were asked to reflect on the artwork and what they saw from it.
I call this piece Early Sun because early represents early spring and sun represents the sunrise. I chose the colors dark blue, neon orange, bright pink, dark purple, and yellow for the sunrise, and dark brown for the road. This piece represents what I see every day when I walk to school. The view I see is a sunrise because I like to be at school early. This means a lot to me because I've been walking to school ever since I started school, so when I was around 5 years old.
This art project was brought back to the school, and they were asked to kind of contemplate their home. And I've got Damon here too, who's not with us, but this is his reflection.
The title of my artwork is Out in the World. The yellow represents rolling fields. The blue represents the Battle River. The green represents grass and new life. The orange and pink represents the horizon. The purple represents the sunset. I chose each of these colors for each of its specific reasons. The fading represents the life and death of all things. This artwork is important to me because I put a lot of hard work into this piece. I want everyone to see this piece because it reminds me of Irma. Every little nook and cranny of Irma is our home. I think that we need to share it. Everywhere we go, something will draw us back to our home. No matter what we do, something will.
So that was Damon, and his was really special to him. And that's what they were asked to do, is reflect on Janvier's work in Ford Hall. And when we were there, and you'll see it in the video a little later on, we asked the students to look at the work of art and draw out things of meaning to them, things of significance to them. And so then for them to come back and do a project like this, it really tied the two together. Mabon, do you want to say anything about that?
Nope, that was great, Jenny.
Okay, excellent. All right, so after we did the tour up to the RAM and the Ford Hall at the Rogers Place, our students also had, and these are our grade 8 students that are with us, they had the opportunity to do a medicine walk and play stick games with, we call her Auntie Alcina because Mabon calls her Auntie Alcina, but this is Elder Alcina White. And so we've been able to spend some time with her as well in different activities and different outings. And so this is some of our kids that were able to go on a medicine walk with her. So of course, after these kind of one-off random trips that were led by the kids and questions asked, we kind of realized that it was time, that it was maybe getting bigger than us. Maybe it was time to focus in and figure out a way to connect all of their learning together, and to make sure that these one-off events were actually known to the kids to be tied together, and that this learning was now to become a journey. And what questions were they wanting to have answered? What knowledge did they need to help them ask the questions that made their learning relevant and important today? In grade 7, curriculum is about Canadian and Indigenous histories, pre- and post-Confederation, and so it tied into the grade 7 curriculum fairly well. But again, the thought was to try and make it so that these students can relate to the learning of the history and put it into present day use. And so we decided that our guiding question would be, what does it mean when we say we are all treaty people? And that has really driven us to ask different questions and seek out different people of expertise and bringing that into our classroom. When asked, how we would collect this knowledge and how we would share it and what we would do with it once we had it, it was decided that we would make a documentary, or that we would combine our video and our photographs together and then share our learned knowledge with other people. And so that first year of these kind of 3 events, we shifted gears and decided we need to put this on a more straight trajectory to figure out and make it so that we can share that knowledge. I'll kind of interject in here right now that Irma School is a small town. There's just over 500 people. Is that right, Dan? I believe in Irma, the village of Irma. We are predominantly non-Indigenous. And so, we read in the textbooks and the history books, we hear in the news that reconciliation matters, that it's important, but we come from a community where we don't see it as much or as often. And so how do we, as primarily non-Indigenous people, how do we embrace and learn and move forward with this idea of reconciliation that is something that is important? And so that driving question is, how and why and what does it mean when we say we're all treaty people? So that's basically the journey that we have been on. From there, we've refocused, and so then we started, looking outside our walls of the school and figuring out what's around us, and that took us to the Viking Ribstones with Clifford. And this day was just such a special day. This was the first activity we did after we kind of honed in on, yep, we are doing this journey and we need to get as much knowledge as we can. This day, you can kind of tell in these pictures, it was a moody, rainy kind of a day. We had taken a feast to the Viking Ribstones, and Clifford shared with us the pipe ceremony. We had ribbons that the students placed in the trees. We had prepared ribbon skirts for all of the young ladies and older ladies, like Mabin and myself, to wear, and we learned about the importance of these beautiful ribbon skirts and how connected you can be. And this day, these kids, they were rolling down the hills and laying in the grass and just being together and enjoying the company of Clifford. And Dan was there that day, and Mabin was there, and we picked strawberries, and it was just a very surreal type of day. Any of my students, do you want to comment on this day? Do you remember this day? Who's out there? Faith or Julie or Karis or Grace or Kinsley? You guys all would have been there.
It was really fun, to be honest, getting to see what they do when they do the pipe ceremony, and then going out to hang the ribbons, and then just spending time with everyone was really fun.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Karis. I think even that day, Clifford had told the young ladies that they should enjoy the meal, and the men, what happened to the boys? Do you remember that, Karis?
They had to serve us first before they got to eat for themselves.
Yeah. And they took that with quite, a large amount of pride. They were very cautious and careful and caring towards the girls in the group. It was really quite remarkable to see. So that was the pipe ceremony at the Viking Ribstones. Honestly, one of my favorite trips that we planned as a class. Of course, giving more background knowledge of, the history of colonialism, of, Europeans making contact, that is an excellent vehicle. The blanket exercise is a great way to deliver that. And so we invited Mabon again to this. Mrs. Alcina, we had hoped that she was able to come, but she wasn't able to come that day. So Mabon led it for us. And we had Mr. Grosky play the role of the colonial person. And there's just so much history that comes out of this blanket exercise. And Mabon, I think you've kind of adopted it to be more local and rural, or more localized to our area right here, correct?
Yeah. We had, yes, we included some local context, I guess, to it.
Mm-hmm. Which really helped with the students. It's a long activity and it can be tough for students to go through, but at the end, when you're debriefing and you're talking about your experience, I know that there was a lot of learning that took place on this day. Following that, Orange Shirt Day is something that the students have been hearing about and learning about in the history of residential schools, and so we decided that it was time for us to share some of our knowledge and our learning. And so the students decided that we would make this.
Today, we are all wearing orange shirts to honor the 150,000 children that attended residential schools. September 30th was chosen as the date because it was the time of year children were taken from their homes, families, and communities and sent to residential schools.
From the 1880s until the last school shutdown in 1996, Canada's residential school system forced about 150,000 First Nation, Inuit, and Métis children to attend church-run facilities that aim to kill the Indian in the child.
Every child matters.
Orange Shirt Day is named for the bright orange shirt given to 6-year-old Phyllis Webstad by her grandmother in 1973, which she wore to her first day at St. Joseph Mission Residential School in Williams Lake, BC.
The school administrator took that shirt from her and she never saw it again. Phyllis was just a 6-year-old kid. She didn't know that being born an Indigenous child surrendered her to an education system that would break down her identity.
Phyllis said in a statement once that the color orange has always reminded her of how she didn't matter and how no one cared about her. September 30th has been declared Orange Shirt Day annually in recognition of the harm that residential schools did to the children's sense of self-esteem and well-being. The students often faced widespread neglect and abuse in the schools. Students had their hair cut and also their belongings taken. They also had their names replaced with numbers. Children were stripped from their culture and their identity.
Children could not speak their own language, practice their own religion, and often would not see their families for long periods of time. And if they broke the rules, they would be given harsh punishments, such as the leather strap, starvation, or being locked in closets, cages, or basements. Sometimes they were also the victims of sexual abuse.
On September 30th, 2013, Phyllis Webstad organized the first Orange Shirt Day in Williams Lake to acknowledge the harm that Canada's residential school system has left in generations of Indigenous families and their communities. She is now using her experience to fight racism and bullying by encouraging people across Canada to wear an orange shirt as a sign of support under the motto, "Every Child Matters." We weren't connected when we were younger, and I am proud to be part of Canada. Now we can have these conversations and be honest about how things occur, said Phyllis. For years, this sad legacy in Canadian history was ignored, but now it's slowly becoming part of our school curriculum.
In 2008, 12 years after the last residential school closed, more than 150 years after they were founded, the Government of Canada issued an apology to the Aboriginal community for their treatment in residential schools.
Canada's legacy is part of our collective history, and we continue to learn on this journey towards reconciliation. Wearing orange and learning about residential schools is a way to show that our school and community is committed to carrying the responsibility of empathy, tolerance, and reconciliation.
This was, performance-based assessment at its finest. These guys took their knowledge, they did more research, they came up with a script. I'm fortunate that I have some camera background knowledge, and our school was able to have these excellent cameras and gear. Again, this is Mr. Grosky, supporting these ideas and supporting these project-type assessments, and so I was able to help them to create this video, and they just did a fabulous job. I'm so proud of them whenever I watch this video, because it is truly them that did it. They wrote it, they filmed it, they edited it. So yeah, I'm so proud of them whenever I watch this video. Of course, after making that video, the next thing that they had to do was get to Blue Quills, which is a residential school that is very close to Irma. And we were invited by Clifford and Mabin to attend a drum making session that he was hosting in St. Paul at a school there with some other students. And we were just so honored that he had asked us to attend that. They were starting right at the start of the day, and so Mr. Grosky willingly volunteered to take two of the boys, Bowen and Slade, at I think 6 o'clock in the morning. They left very early ahead of the rest of the class, took them up there, joined with Clifford, and just got to start this learning about making drums. And then I was able to follow and with some chaperones and the other kids and join them at about 9:30. And Clifford and all of those people in that room, they just welcomed us and showed us and said, here, make a drum, and here, learn this process. And Clifford shared the sacredness behind it. And again, in the other video I'll show you, I know that, there are times that we are able to film and we are not able to film. And Clifford has been so gracious in allowing us to capture these images and these stories. And we are not, we just feel so humbled that he allowed us to be a part of that morning and that day. And then that afternoon, we were able to meet Auntie Alcina at Blue Quills, where she gave us a tour of Blue Quills. And so humbled and so honored that we were able to partake in this day that was led again by the students. They just needed to see Clifford more. They were asking about drums, and of course they were asking about Blue Quills. And so I see myself as a facilitator. I know Mr. Grosky is there to help me make whatever it is happen. And so again, this is just such an excellent day for us to be able to go out and learn so much in this very busy, packed day. So this slide is important because, this journey is about my kids and the learning that happens from them, experiencing all of these events and activities that we are able to do. And so this is, I've got camera knowledge. I can bring that and help them. I can facilitate finding people and places who have more knowledge than I do. And that's, allows me to reach out to Mabon, who is so gracious in giving her knowledge and time to us. Clifford and Auntie Alcina as our, honored elders that we really feel are ours. We kind of take claim to Clifford and Auntie Alcina. And whenever my kids speak of Clifford or Auntie Alcina, they just have kindness and love in their voice whenever they talk about them. And that's because of the connection that these kids have made with Clifford and with Auntie Alcina and with Mabon as well. And we are fortunate to have them, so willingly give us their knowledge. And then administration, Mr. Grosky is there. He has said to me, we will make this happen. This learning is important. COVID has shut us down, but it will continue. We've already had those conversations. And right up to senior admin, the administration, if I did not have the support of Mr. Grosky, this could not happen, plain and simple. So Mr. Grosky, thank you. I know you're in this call and I appreciate it. And on top of that, he comes to everything. He volunteers to drive the kids. He attends and participates in that learning. And that definitely shows the kids on another level that this learning matters. When the principal of the school is coming to these events, it just takes it up one more level to show you that this does matter. So I appreciate all of the people that have been on this journey with us. Again, this brings me to this idea of, the knowledge, the gift of knowledge from Clifford and Auntie Alcina. You have been so willing to share that with us. We have humbly accepted it. We have been allowed to record that and document that. And we do it with a great sense of responsibility, never to be used in a negative way, never to be used in a harmful way, only ever used in a positive, informative, light of reconciliation. And my students, I think you know this. I think they intrinsically know that this journey is a positive one that is meant to be a good one. So then bringing all of this together, our Orange Shirt Day video, this is documenting that learning, sharing that video out, having the kids do the sharing of that knowledge, presenting to other students. Our goal is to reach out to other schools in the district and to do events like this. When Dan asked us to do this is the point of our learning journey, is to share our path, how we went about it, the supports that we've had, in the hopes that can happen in other schools with other students. And then, one of the ultimate goals for us that the kids have discussed often is, the message that they're getting at school is not necessarily the message that they hear at home. And their hope is to host a community event, a community movie night, where they bring the adults in the community and show them the learning that they've done, the importance of that. Anytime we take a field trip, we always invite parents. There is an open invitation. Any and every parent, grandparent, anybody that would like to come on our field trips, on our learning journey, that is always a positive. And every time that parents have joined us, they have always walked away with a much more open mind and an appreciation of the learning that we're doing. Every single time I've had parents sit down after the event and say, whoa, I did not know this. I didn't know the history of that. I didn't know this connection that is being built. They've always walked away with a really awe-inspired feeling that what we're doing matters and that it's important. Before I play this, the parents, well, actually I'll play this and then we'll go from there. So this video just kind of encompasses all of the work that we've been doing.
The treaty area that we're on, the saying around the Treaty 6 area is as long as the sun shines, the river flows, and the grass grows, treaty is forever, right? So that was the belief when treaty, we can learn some more. Is a gathering place for many different groups of First Nations people. These include, but were not limited to, the Cree, the Nakota Sioux, Blackfoot, Dene, and Saulteaux. People gathered here for many different reasons: for ceremony, for trade, for meetings, hunting, celebration, and rest.
What does reconciliation look like to us, a small rural community that is primarily non-Indigenous? We have asked ourselves the question, what does it mean when we say that we are all treaty people? And these guiding questions have been what has led us on a very unique and fulfilling school experience.
You may not vote. You may not get together to talk about your rights. You may not practice your spirituality or your traditional forms of government.
We have learned that the TRC believes reconciliation is about establishing and maintaining mutually respectful relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people in this country. And for this to happen, there must be awareness of the past, acknowledgement of the harm that has been done, atonement for the causes and actions to change behavior. And so our class has set about arming ourselves with the knowledge of the past. We have been learning the history of colonization and how it has deeply impacted all Indigenous people across Canada. With this as a motivator, we, the future generation, are the ones to foster reconciliation. We know that we have a powerful role to play in paving the path of the future. We are the keepers of social memory, and we are the nurturers of a relationship built on respect and tolerance.
This time, I'm never going to allow video. And believe me, I've done this class many, many times. And I never allowed it because it's just not proper for us to video, all this stuff, like, especially the sacredness of this. So it's really, but today, for some reason, I'm going to allow it. Probably because of virus.
We take very seriously the idea that we can be a voice to those who cannot yet speak. We consider ourselves a bridge from the younger generations to those who have grown up with a biased and tainted understanding of the historical injustices, the intergenerational trauma, and the colonial eradication of First Nations culture and traditions.
Remember what the Cree name for Edmonton is?
Beaver Hill.
Who got it?
Beaver Hill.
Yeah, Beaver Hill.
When we began this journey, we reached out to community and school members who had more knowledge and connections, especially Mrs. Mabon Grindy. She has been a pillar to our learning journey, and through her, we were introduced to two elders who had graciously shared their knowledge with us time and time again, Mr. Clifford Cardinal and Mrs. Alcina White. We have held a pipe ceremony at the Viking Ribstones and have learned both rattle and drum making from Clifford. We have done medicine walks and blanket exercises, as well as spent a day at Blue Quills, former residential school, with Alcina. We have studied revered Indian group of 7 artist Alex Janvier's work, toured Ford Hall and viewed the Iron Footplace mosaic, as well as the painting Blood Tears in the Royal Alberta Museum, where Indigenous stories are woven throughout the gallery. We have also learned about the Manitou Stone and that it is significant and deeply spiritual to Indigenous people on the prairie.
This past September, we felt that we were ready to share some of our learning and knowledge And so our class created a short informative video on Orange Shirt Day and residential school survivors. As we move forward on this journey, we are always looking to build more connections and relationships with people who are also on a similar journey. Our goal is to create a documentary about ourselves and our journey of learning. What does it mean to be a treaty person? One who is seeking answers and knowledge on reconciliation in a world where most of the adults are not yet at a place where they are willing to take a similar journey? We want to share our documentary and our learning with our parents and family, with our school community and others who are ready to hear that this message is important.
Every child matters.
Our teacher is honest with us when we have our class discussions. She does not have all of the answers, and she does not know exactly where this journey will take us. But we do understand that even though there may be uncertainty, this journey is worth taking, and the sky's the limit if we are willing to be vulnerable and open to learning. We understand that reconciliation is possible, and so what role do we, the youth, play in understanding, sharing, and encouraging reconciliation?
Okay. So yeah, another beautiful video that the students, were able to create to kind of put everything together in what we've done up to this point. Of course, this is not the end. The pandemic cut our journey and put it on hold. Right before we went on break, right before we were kind of kicked out of schools last year in March, we had bought tickets to attend a residential school banquet in Lloydminster. We had been we were invited to the Hot Six, the Heart of Treaty 6 organization in Lloydminster, where we dispatched a team to meet them and find out how we could build relations and start, kind of the next chapter of our journey. We had even been invited to interview the Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan. And unfortunately, COVID just knocked all of those plans off the roster for us, which is heartbreaking. We had plans to work with, with Dan's gathering that was going to happen at Lakeland College, where the students were going to document and be a part of that. We were bound for a powwow, which we've attempted 2 times to go, and they've been, it's been canceled on us, or our opportunity to go has been canceled. So this is not the end by any means. One of the problems that we run into is I teach grade 7 and 8, and I've lost some of these kids, and as they continue to grow up, which they do, I continue to not be able to teach them. And so, a dilemma is what happens when those students leave you and they go on to other teachers. What is excellent about Irma School is that the high school teachers are prepared to allow me to pass the torch, or allow me to be involved with these kids and continue that type of learning. I can still plan my band trips and include Indigenous learning on those trips and include those high school teachers. Our high school English teacher has taken up novels that, the Marrow Thieves, and different books and readings that she can incorporate into her lesson plans. The learning doesn't stop with me, which I'm so grateful to be surrounded by a team of professionals that are willing to and know the value of this learning and pick up the torch and continue that, as well as, again, Mr. Grosky allowing us to do it in just maybe a different form. I feel like my kids, and maybe they can speak up here, that they know that this learning is just so crucial and important, and I think that they're excited to see what's next. They want to see Clifford again. They want to see Auntie Alcina again. We had talked about doing hitting the road and doing a band tour where we can view or visit sites of significance to Indigenous peoples in Saskatchewan and Alberta, where we can give the gift of music and hope that a gift of knowledge can be returned to us, which gives me shivers to think that we can offer something and receive something. I'm just so proud of these students in how they have embraced this knowledge and the desire to learn and move forward with that. So yeah, I think that's maybe the end of what I have to say. Mr. Grosky, do you want to add anything into that?
No, keep doing a great job. Our kids are definitely benefiting from it, so I will continue to be supportive of it.
Thank you very much. What about my students? Would you like to say anything? Put you on the spot.
I just want to thank everyone that's made this possible. So when we started this, no one really expected that we'd even go this far, and now we're going farther. So it's just been great.
It has, and the kids are getting a little bit of a reputation. You know, people are reaching out to us and seeking them out to learn about their path and their journey, and to involve them in, you know, their community and things that are happening. And so they really have become, you know, a spokesperson, a team of spokespeople for this type of learning. So yeah, good. Thanks, Ken.
I'd like to offer Clifford an opportunity to reflect on the whole process from his perspective. Mm-hmm. And then if people want to stay on and ask some questions, that would be great.
What a wonderful opportunity for us to engage in the journey and acknowledge, and also to share with everyone who has an open mind, an open ear to this knowledge journey, this journey of knowledge sharing. A lot of what I've done with this journey is following the belief system that we have in spirituality. And a little bit of history on this journey is I was not, I always seek out a blessing from the spirit world and offer a prayer. Every time I go into sharing our history as Indigenous people, because I don't want it to be utilized in a wrong way. So before I went out to Irma, I did that. I shared and offered a prayer, and as I did that, there was 2 robins that landed on my front steps after my prayer. And a robin in our way of life is very significant in our culture, very moving. So that was my answer, and so I made my trek out to journey to Irma, and began this journey with them. And you know, the learning that has taken place on both sides. I learned a lot about Irma. I learned a lot about the young people and their willingness to learn. They're so young, innocent, and pure. And all that I shared with them was they were just suppressing it like a sponge. And and the connection that I made with all of the young people was a spiritual connection, and that connection cannot be broken. They're my lifelong family now, and that's how we are as Indigenous people. If we embrace you, and if we don't have any way of relating to you, we're going to find a relationship to where we can engage with one another, not physically, but spiritually. And a spiritual engagement is that connection can never be broken. All these young people of Irma, they're all my grandchildren. That's how I look at them. As we went to the significant place of the ribstones, I shared that journey, and me going there as a child 50 years ago, and coming back and sharing what I've seen since then. Thank the young people for showing me the kindness that I need that our people need. I unfortunately couldn't assist them in going to Blue Quills because my journey at Blue Quills was not a pleasant one. As I left there when I turned 18, it was a very dark chapter in my life. So when they finished their drum making here, Jenny didn't share it, but I fed them. I gave them food and drinks because that's our way of life. When I went to their territory, they fed me. Even that is a teaching in itself. Providing and offering that life to young people, like the life they offered me. That's so crucial to our way of engagement. And I just wanted to share that it's what you academics call reciprocity. It's a giving and taking, and they give me life. I give them life, but that was as far as the journey I could take them because of my sad journey in residential school that I still have yet to overcome. I have forgave, but I have not forgotten. So that's a journey that I'm still on, and I just wanted to acknowledge, Mrs. Thompson for all that she's done. But without Mabel, we would not have made the connection. So I thank my relative Mabel for engaging and bringing me to all of you young people. And just know, you young people, that you're always in my prayers. And I love you. And I miss you. And we'll soon see each other again with the Creator willing. With that, thank you very much for listening.